Jaya
Hare
Jaya
Krishna
Shri
Prabhu.
Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ॐ अज्ञानतिम्रान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सगणिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वंच कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले पादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचार्य चारिणे निर्विशेषं मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्प्रपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्ण वेलकम एवरीबॉडी to our Hari Katha session this Saturday. So, uh, according to schedule, today's class is should be the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we will also discuss Chaitanya Charitamrita because we're doing once in a fortnight, so I don't want to miss it. Also, we are at a very uh, interesting juncture. Tomorrow, of course, is the Ekadashi Tithi. That's one thing to take note. You have not taken note. And day after tomorrow on the Dwadashi Tithi is uh, the most auspicious occasion of the installation of the deity of Ram Lala, the young Lord Ram as a young boy, performed in Ayodhya Dham, which is also a very, very significant event uh, in many ways. So I just felt that, being such an event of such monumental significance, should also speak a little bit about it. So I thought I'll discuss a little bit about Chaitanya Charitamrita as per our schedule, and then also spend some time reflecting on uh, this very, very special event which is about to manifest this time. So we'll start with our discussion on Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have actually completed chapter 10 of the Madhya Lila, which was the chapter which described how Lord Chaitanya came back to Puri and how all the various devotees gathered in Puri after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completed his tour and he settled in the house of Kashi Mishra and so many devotees with the Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Sarup Damodar Goswami. So many, of course, some prominent characters have been mentioned in significant detail. Others have been mentioned in a quick passing. But all very, 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 very great souls. So we've discussed this multiple times. Whenever the Lord appears, the Lord, is always comes down to the world with his associates, with his pure loving devotees. The Lord is generally not interested in the material world. In fact, the material world is a prison house. Who likes to go to a prison house for touring. for for that he escaped Durga Devi. Durga means the prison keeper. She's in charge. She's the jail in charge for punishing the living entities. And especially so because the living entities are rebellious to the Lord, are placed in this prison. So not particularly attractive place for the Lord. Lord who's always surrounded by fully surrendered, devoted, Ananya devotees. The spiritual world. So whenever the Lord comes, of course He comes Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya Dushkritam Dharma Sansthapanarthaya. And above and beyond that, He comes to display His beautiful pastime. And to display His beautiful pastimes are performed amongst His devotees. So obviously, along with Him, His pure devotees have to come. So many of these devotees who are actually eternal associates, the Krishna Lila, each of these personalities who are coming are very, very close associates of Sri Krishna. They all gather in Jagannath Puri as they are setting for that epoch of the final pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. This is still Madhya Lila, but this sets the scene for the remaining part of Madhya Lila leading into the Antya Lila, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spends most of his time absorbed in the deepest ecstasies of intense loving separation from Krishna. This particular chapter, chapter 11, takes the pastimes forward from that point. So this chapter begins with the setting that, of course, amongst the close associates of the Lord, the ones who the Lord very, very regularly meets up with, the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has been one of the first personalities, a very elderly person, one of the first personalities who interacted with Lord Chaitanya when Lord Chaitanya came to Puri as an incarnation of Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the Devatas. And he is the Raja Purohit of the king Prataparudra. Now, we have briefly discussed this earlier. King Prataparudra was also a very, very great devotee of Lord Krishna. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on his South India tour, and we had discussed this earlier, Prataparudra, he had heard about the glories of Lord Chaitanya, and he had in his heart come to the conclusion that this Lord Chaitanya, who has now come to Puri, is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was such a great devotee, even though he was externally a king, surrounded by royal opulence, dealing in politics. Normally, for such persons, it's very difficult to remain detached from matter and attached to Krishna, but very, very great souls have that kind of a nature. So Prataparudra was one amongst them. So Prataparudra had already told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, please, after Lord Chaitanya comes back from his South India trip, you must arrange for me meeting Lord Chaitanya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wasn't very sure that that could be achieved, but he said, okay, let me try. So when Lord Chaitanya came back, King Prataparudra wasn't there. So it so happened that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, knowing his request, one of these days he approached Lord Chaitanya. And he asked Lord Chaitanya in a very humble way, oh Lord, if you give me permission, I would like to make a submission to you without any fear. So when somebody says something like this, the obvious understanding is that this is something which is a very big ask. So Lord Chaitanya told him, you can speak without fear, but if your statement is suitable, I'll accept it. If it is not suitable, I'm telling you, first of all, I will reject it. So Lord Chaitanya was very direct and strict. He would not allow himself to be emotionally arm twisted, even by his close associates. Why? Of course, not because of any other reason, but he wanted to set the highest example uh, of a Vaishnav sannyasi. For that reason, of course, otherwise, the Lord is always softened by the emotional appeal of his devotees. So, Sarva Bhattacharya, nonetheless, he decided to present King Pratap Rudra's case in front of Lord Chaitanya. He said, King Pratap Rudra, he's actually, oh Lord, very, very anxious to meet you. But he wants your permission to meet you. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, King Pratap Rudra, immediately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu covered his ears with his hands. He said, oh my dear Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, what are you requesting? How can you ask such an undesirable thing from me? I'm in the renounced order of life. I'm a sannyasi. For me to meet with a king who's typically very materialistic is as good as meeting and closely associating with a woman. Both of these, meeting a king or associating with a king or a woman, is like drinking poison for a sannyasi like me. Don't you know, as the scriptures mention, for a person who's seriously desiring to cross over the ocean of material existence by engaging in the devotional service of the Lord without any material attachments, when seeing a person who's materialistic, or even seeing a woman who is attached to material enjoyment, is more bad than drinking poison willingly. Very, very strong words. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So those are the kind of standards. So in olden times, sannyasis would be very, very strict, and that's why you would rarely ever see a fall down. So they would be so strict that there was like, I mean, associating with a woman is a far off thing. They would not even associate with aristocratic people because of their materialistic demeanor and ways that the sannyasi should not in any way his consciousness get contaminated. And this is true. If we are not very elevated, when we associate with people of a lower materialistic mentality, we partake, we become infected by that consciousness. Sarva Bhattacharya said, actually, oh Lord, in general, what you have said as a principle is correct. I accept this, but please understand this Pratap Rudra, King Pratap Rudra is not an ordinary king. He's a great devotee. He's a servant of Lord Jagannath. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made this kind of a plea to you if it was just for an ordinary king. I know that he's a great devotee, and he's very attached to Lord Jagannath. That's why I'm making this plea. Chaitanya said, yeah, I mean, what you're saying is correct. I understand that the king is a devotee, but even then, because the title king is attached to him, uh, he is to be considered like a poisonous snake. Because when a person is a king, all the opulence of the king, the associated politics, the rich dressing, paraphernalia, the ways, the mannerisms, the tam jam, everything comes. That title of king spoils everything. Even woman, what to speak of a real woman? Don't you know? Even if a beautiful wooden idol of a woman is made, even that can disturb the mind of a person. So one should be very, very careful, especially those who are in the renounced order of life. Should be very careful. And we see this, right? I mean, even in Kali Yuga, right? I mean, Kali Yuga, there is so much overexposure uh, of sense gratification. In those days, it wasn't like that. But even at that time, sannyasis were so strict. Even when women in general were so chaste. Now you just step out of your house, you see billboards, you see advertisements, you see newspapers, you will see everything. Everything everywhere is designed to agitate your mind and senses. That's why in Kali Yuga it is considered very, very difficult. Those who are able, control their senses in Kali Yuga, it is considered a very, very great feat. In Satya Yuga, if somebody would perform hundreds or thousands of years of tapasya, Kali Yuga to control senses even for a much shorter period of time is considered equivalent to that. I don't remember the mathematics now, so I don't quote it, but it's a huge proportion. And there is a mathematics to it. I don't remember it. So that's why in Kali Yuga, in the circumstances that we are in, to speak of 500 years ago, 500 years ago was a very, very different situation. Very, still a very, very traditional environment. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, even if you see a drawing of a snake, one becomes frightened. Similarly, a person who is seriously endeavoring for self-realization should fear the association of a materialistic person and a woman. And should be very careful not even to look at them. So please stop. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strongly objecting to this plea of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Lord Chaitanya continued to speak like this, and finally he warned Bhattacharya, Bhattacharya, if you continue to speak like this, I'm telling you, I will leave Jagannath Puri and go. Don't ever come back and make a request like this to me. So Bhattacharya, he got really scared. I was trying to, do something for the king, but I have created a very dangerous situation. Lord Chaitanya is threatening to leave Jagannath Puri and go. He'll all lose his association. So immediately he closed the topic and he went back home. And for quite some time, this episode was never discussed because Lord Chaitanya had threatened, don't open this topic again. But meanwhile, King Prataparudra, he had gone to South India for his tour. He had quite an extensive kingdom, actually. I don't remember the borders. I'd seen some maps of his kingdom somewhere some time ago. Quite a powerful king. The kings of Puri are known even to this day as the Gajapati kings. Gajapati means the Lord of Elephants. So, kings in India, they carry various titles. There's the Chhatrapati, like Shivaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati. There's Narapati, there is Gajapati, Ashwapati. These are all, titles in glorification. So, Gajapati, Prataparudra Maharaj, he came back to Purushottama Kshetra, his capital. He was accompanied by secretaries, ministers, military officers. They came back and, like, and being the principal servitor of Lord Jagannath. Even up to this day, the king of Orissa, and the descendants of the king, who is the current king of Orissa, they're still called Gajapatis, by the way. I think his name is Dibya Dev Singh, if I'm not wrong. The current king, who's a direct descendant of Maharaj Pratap. If you watch the Rath Yatra live on TV, you can actually see he comes, his palki, then he comes and with the golden broom, he brooms the road in front of the Ratha. He's a direct descendant. So they came, they first went to the temple of Jagannath, took darshan. And the very interesting thing happened is when King Prataparudra had gone to South India, he met with Ramananda Rai. So Ramananda Rai was actually employed by Maharaj Prataparudra and he was governing some provinces in South on behalf of the king. So as the king returned, Ramananda Rai came back with the king to Jagannath Puri. Ramananda Rai had also promised Lord Chaitanya, very soon I will wind up. I'm retiring from my political job. I just want to be with you and serve you. So the king came back with all his entourage. Ramananda Rai came with him. Ramananda Rai immediately, he was so impatient to see Lord Chaitanya. The king went into the temple of Lord Jagannath, but Ramananda Rai ran quickly to the home where Lord Chaitanya was staying. Went and offered obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was so happy and excited to see him because he was feeling so much separation. The Sarup Damodar had already joined. Now he was waiting for Ramanand Rai. Govind was already there. So associates were already there. Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, so many others. And now Ramanand Rai, one of the closest associates of Lord Chaitanya, was there, and he embraced, and they both embraced, and they both began to cry in ecstasy of love. All the devotees, when they saw what kind of attachment and affection exists between Ramanand Rai and Lord Chaitanya, all the devotees were very, very shocked and surprised. It was very extraordinary. So Ramanand Rai told the Lord, "Oh Lord, you had asked me to come to Puri, so I have come now. I have fulfilled your instruction. I informed King Prataparudra that it was your instruction to me that I should retire from my job. When I told this to Prataparudra, he was actually very happy. I thought he will resist my resignation. Normally, when a very important person in the organization wants to resign, the boss will usually try to convince him, increase his salary, show him some, nice career plan. I'll give you this, then you become this, then you be like this. But he was so excited. He was so happy to hear that I wanted to give up everything and be engaged fully in your service. So when I told him I want to be fully engaged in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's service and I want your permission, he was so happy. He got up from the throne and embraced me. So the king was so excited because what he wanted to do and he couldn't do, Ramananda Rai was doing. And he was happy for the good fortune of Ramananda Rai. So this is the heart of a Vaishnava. He didn't feel envious. He didn't feel, oh, I am king. I don't have, I don't have the opportunity yet to meet Lord Chaitanya. But what about my employee? Because this wasn't an ordinary employee. He was the governor of the Vidyanagar area. So Ramanand Rai is glorifying the character of Maharaj Prataparudra like this in front of Lord Chaitanya. He says, he got up from his throne, he embraced me, he caught my hands, and I could see symptoms of divine love in the character of Prataparudra. I was also surprised. Ramanand Rai is saying, there's such love for you. He actually could understand what my heart is. He was fully supportive. Not only did he give me permission, oh Lord, to resign and come here to Puri to serve you, he has agreed to give me lifelong pension of my full salary as I remain engaged in your service. So you don't have to work for me, you serve Lord Chaitanya, you'll continue to get your full salary as pension for the rest of your life. So that don't worry anything about money or how you'll be taken care of. You just engage in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. And then Maharaj Pratap Rudra, this is being narrated by Ramanand Rai to Lord Chaitanya. He felt so humble. He said, oh, I am so fallen and abominable. I cannot even get an interview. I cannot even meet the Lord. I cannot even get intro. I cannot even come in front of him. If one gets the opportunity to engage in the service of Lord Chaitanya, one's life becomes successful. This Lord Chaitanya is none other than Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. He's so kind, he's so merciful. But just see my condition. I'm so unfortunate, I'm unable to receive his mercy. I'm just hoping and praying, Maharaj Prataparudra was telling Ramananda Rai, that at least in some future birth, the Lord will grant me an interview. So this is the consciousness of a devotee. He doesn't say, oh Lord, either you give me mercy now or bye. I'm going to next shop. Spiritual shopping. Or I'm going back to enjoying Maya. Mama janmani janmani shware bhavtad bhakti rahe. So you need to wait. As long as it takes, because the devotee knows the value of Krishna consciousness. He knows the value of Krishna Prem. He knows the value of getting the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of God. So you need to wait for as long as it takes. So Ramananda is in this way glorifying the character of King Prataparudra, Lord Chaitanya, and he concludes this by saying that, oh my Lord, I think I don't even have a fraction of the kind of loving devotion which Maharaj Prataparudra has for you. Now that's a very big thing to say. Lord Chaitanya was glorifying Ramananda as if you are better than me. There is nobody who knows the rasas of the topmost devotion more than you in the whole world, in whole existence. And this Ramananda Rai is glorifying Prataparudra and saying that I don't have the kind of loving ecstasy which Maharaj Prataparudra has. So, hearing this kind of a narration, Lord Chaitanya's heart softened. When one devotee, when a devotee is very dear to the Lord, glorifies the character of another devotee, it actually, the Lord takes it in a very receptive manner. So this is always the safe way to approach the Lord through another devotee, rather than trying to say, I am so qualified, O Lord, you should be happy that I came to you. I am the king. Don't you think your glory will increase if the king becomes your disciple? He didn't have that kind of a mentality. So fortunate, I am the least. Some lifetime I should become perfect. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart was softened and he said to Ramanand Rai, Ramanand Rai, you are the greatest of all the devotees. So if you are feeling so much love and affection for this Maharaj Pratap Rudra, then surely Krishna's blessings will be on him. You love him so much and he has shown so much affection and love to you by allowing you to be engaged in my service. Definitely because of this great service that he has done for you, Lord Krishna will certainly accept him. So Lord Chaitanya says, of course, Ramananda doesn't plead on behalf of Prataparudra. In fact, he doesn't say anything about that matter altogether. He just glorifies King Prataparudra and Lord Chaitanya makes this statement. Krishna will certainly accept him. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami quotes at this point the very beautiful verse where Krishna is telling Arjuna. That beautiful verse is from the Adi Puran. Yeah. It says, Ye me bhakta jana partha, name bhaktas chate janaha, mad bhaktanam cha ye bhaktas, te me bhakta tamamataha. Those who are claiming that they are my devotees, those who say that they are directly my devotees, they are not actually my devotees. But those who are the devotees of my devotees, which means they are the servants of my devotees, they are actually my devotees. So Prabhupada again and again emphasizes this point. Even I hear this point so many times from the lotus lips of Radhanath Maharaj, that the easiest way to attract attention of the Lord is to become dear to those who are dear to the Lord. Apparently. And actually, it is so much easier to please the devotees of the Lord as compared to pleasing Krishna. And it is also more effective. So why not? Prabhupada in one of the purports says, he says that in America there is a saying, if you want to love me, love my dog. So in the Western world, people are so much fond of their pets. So if they see somebody petting their dog, loving their dog, they become very happy, even more than if they were doing something for them directly. So by seeing this Western uh, mentality, he makes this kind of a and then Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami goes on to quote many other verses. For shortage of time, I'll not go into that. Says, quotes the verse of Lord Shiva telling Parvati uh, that higher than worship of me is the worship of, so higher than worship of Lord Vishnu, the worship of Tadiya Nam Samarcha, Aradhana Nam Sarvesham Vishnu, Param Tasmat Parataram Tadiya Nam. So many beautiful verses are there. So Ramananda Rai, like this, he meets Lord Chaitanya, he explains the situation, he explains how he got there, he glorifies Ramananda Rai. Then other great associates are sitting there. He offers his obeisances to Paramananda Puri, Brahmanand Bharati, Sarup Damodar, Nityanand, Jagadananda, Mukunda, and others who were there, the close associates. And then Lord Chaitanya asks him, so you had darshan of Lord Jagannath? And Ramananda Rai is a bit embarrassed. He says, oh my Lord, I came directly to see you. He says, what is this? As soon as you have come, should have first taken darshan of Lord Jagannath. That is customary. Why you came here to see me? Because actually Maharaj Prataprudra and the others went to see Jagannath. But so you go immediately. Ramananda said, yeah, my Lord. Actually, what can I do? My body is like the chariot and my heart is like a chariot here. Wherever my heart is, I just so attracted to you. Of course, Ramananda Rai knows that Lord Chaitanya is not different from them. So anyway, so then after being instructed like this, Ramananda Rai hastily went to Lord Jagannath's temple and he took darshan. So after Maharaj Prataprudra returned to Puri in this way, he immediately called. He was very eager. Ramananda Rai had met Lord Chaitanya. He was now engaged in Lord Chaitanya's service. Lord Chaitanya actually instructed Ramananda Rai that you take darshan of Jagannath, then you go and meet your family. Your father and your four brothers were here. Your youngest brother, Vaninath Rai, is here. Meet him. He's sitting here with all of us engaged in service here. Go back, meet your father, Bhavananda Rai, and your other brothers. And then you can come here and be with me. So then King Prataprudra, he called for Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya because he was very eager. Because when the king left for South India also for his tour, he had also told Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, please try to speak to Lord Chaitanya and do some setting for me so that I can meet him, I can take his darshan, I can fall at his feet and seek his blessings. So when Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya came in the presence of the king asked, what happened? Have you pleaded my case in front of Lord Chaitanya? And Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he feels very sad. He puts his head down and says, dear king, I tried so greatly to present your case, but the Lord is just not willing to see a king. Not only that, he has even threatened that even if I were to ask him again, he would leave Jagannath Puri and go elsewhere. As Prataparudra's heart was like shattered when he heard that. He can, really lamenting. Started kind of feeling so lowly about himself. He said, the Lord has come to deliver all most fallen of living entities. He has delivered even Jagai and Madhai. I must be more sinful than them. Because they have been delivered, but I don't even have an opportunity to seek an audience with the Lord. So far from being upset and angry, of course, he was lamenting. He actually, a devotee, when he is put into a situation like this where he's expecting grace but he's unable to get grace, he's not becoming angry and complaining. He's himself extremely unqualified and lowly. At the same time, with great determination, stating. So while King Prataprudra is intensely lamenting in his own heart that so many fallen people could take at the Lord's mercy, but I am unable to get. He's so determined in his resolve to surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. He tells Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, oh Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, if I am unable to get mercy of Lord Chaitanya, then I will give up my life. My life has no meaning. My whole kingdom, my body, my whole life is useless if I cannot get mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And he said it with such conviction, with such determination. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was shocked. What kind of a resolve, what kind of a dedication, devotion this king has. If I just tell him, he will give up everything his kingdom and become a beggar and come and serve Lord Chaitanya. That is the kind of resolve that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, somehow pacified the king. He said, do not worry. Let us see what can be done. I am sure because you're so determined, how will Krishna not reciprocate with you? I am very sure. I don't know how yet, but surely Lord Chaitanya's mercy will definitely be upon you. Because whoever approaches the Lord with love, definitely the Lord will reciprocate. I can see the kind of love and determination you have. I am 100% sure that the Lord will be merciful. And then suddenly Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya got an idea. Perhaps Lord Chaitanya himself inspired it in the heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He said, actually, there is one thing you can do by which you can fulfill your desire. On the day of Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya will come with his devotees. He will dance in the Rath Yatra in front of Lord Jagannath. Then after some time, when he becomes tired after the dancing, he will go into the Gundicha garden, absorbed in great ecstatic mood, and he will take some rest there. My suggestion is, this time, and Rath Yatra was about to come because uh, on that day when they spoke, uh, the Snan Yatra was only 3 days away. 3 days away Snan Yatra, and another 2 weeks Rath Yatra. So he said that Rath Yatra is coming, you can do this. And when the Lord is in Gundicha, he is usually alone. Nobody bothers him there. You can gently approach him, not as a king, but wear very simple robes of a very simple mendicant. Go there without your royal dress. Don't go there as a king because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't want to see a king. Go there as an ordinary beggar, as an ordinary devotee. Go there and read the 5 chapters of the Ras Lila in front of Lord Chaitanya, where Lord Krishna is dancing with the gopis. And when you are doing like that, you can go and catch hold of the lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, Lord Chaitanya will be in such ecstatic mood, feeling such separation from Krishna. He'll practically be without external consciousness. I'm sure at that time, uh, he will not uh, at an external level not be aware that you are a king and place you out of love, because he will see how much love you have for Krishna as you are reciting these Panchadhyay, the Rasa Panchadhyay. Actually, I have seen, oh King Pratap, I have seen that when Ramananda Rai spoke about you, the Lord's heart has already softened a bit with regards to you. Initially, when I spoke to him about you, it was like thunder. But after that, second devotee also spoke about you. I spoke, then Ramananda Rai spoke. Especially, you have been so kind to Ramananda Rai. He's so very pleased. So I'm sure something wonderful will work out. So please do something like this, because it's just few days away. So I'm going to pause here. So this was the suggestion which was given, and then the pastimes will continue. Is how this pastime eventually manifests. We'll discuss about that as well. So if you are in Jagannath Puri, you should visit all these places, the Gundicha Garden, Jagannath Puri Gardens, Lord Chaitanya would dance there, rest there, have prasad with the devotees there. Very, very sacred places. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have discussed roughly up to verse 60, you can say. Yeah. We'll continue from verse 61. Our next session. Okay, so also wanted to take the opportunity to discuss a little bit about a very auspicious upcoming Tithi on the 22nd of January, which is the installation of the deity of Lord Ramchandra. So, uh, the fever of excitement is catching up, uh, not just amongst devotees. Of course, the devotees have been very, very eagerly waiting for this occasion, but it is catching up across the nation, the hearts of all those who are connected to the Sanatan Dharma, and the fever is catching up all across the world also. So it's amazing. It's actually quite unprecedented. The scale and the fervor that this event is generating. So I wanted to speak a little bit because this event is not an ordinary event. This event will, for those who are not yet convinced, this event will go into history as the turning point in the history of the current age, which will affect the whole planet in a very, very major way. Don't ask me why, because that will be a full class by itself. But you don't have to wait for that. This is not just my understanding. This is what all great saints are unequivocal about. So it has been a very, very long wait for the devotees. Lord Ramchandra is arguably one of the most worshipped and dear deities, the tradition across north, south, east, west. We have all grown up hearing the Ramayana. We have grown up hearing about the Maryada lessons by both Maryada Purushottam Ram and his those associates, which have set the benchmark for ideal behavior for all mankind since time immemorial. So Ram is etched in the hearts. Ram is actually, we'll say Ram is the soul of India, the ideal of Ramachandra. Of course, Ram as the supreme person is obviously the soul of everything. So that's philosophically true. But Ram and the ideal of Ram, which is the ultimate ideal of what Sanatan Dharma is teaching, is actually the very soul of our entire Vedic culture. So Ram is non-different from Bharat. There cannot be Bharat without Ram. So anyway, this is also a very big topic, but it is poignant that after suppression of Sanatan Dharma for almost 1,000 years and the breaking of the temple at Ayodhya 550 years ago, finally, after so much struggle, it's a long saga. We are going to just briefly discuss a few points. I'm sure many of you have been separately following these stories, so I'm not going to go into detail. I just want this to be a bit reflective rather than informative, that the deity is being re-established. The culture of Sanatan Dharma, Vedic culture, has been ruling the planet since thousands of years. It's only for the last 1000 years, out of the thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of years where Vedic culture has been preeminent, as we see in the Puranas, Bhagavatam. You know, we have the histories of all our kings, thousands of years. It's only for the last 1000 years where, especially the Abrahamic traditions and invaders from those traditions, tried to subjugate the Vedic culture. And subjugation of a community happens by destroying their ideals, by making them feel low about their own culture, their own philosophy, their own deities. When the identity becomes destroyed, eventually people convert different philosophy thinking. Uh, many efforts were made over the last 1000 years by multiple invaders, and the last 200 years by Western powers as well. But the interesting thing is, even though they were able to a significant degree, politically subjugate, even though they destroyed thousands of temples, even though in the land of Bharatvarsha, can you imagine, in the land of Bharatvarsha, Lord Ram could not be worshipped in his birthplace for 550 years. That's not even imaginable how that could have possibly happened. It's unimaginable. It's all the more unimaginable even after India achieved independence for 75 years, this did not happen. Unimaginable. Now, I don't want to get into the politics, but it should have happened, but it didn't. So, all attempts to subjugate our culture, our religion, the Sanatan tradition, we do not see our religion as, we see our tradition as an eternal tradition, which is at the essentially represents the essence of all spirituality, from which various other traditions may be offshoots. So, of course, Sanatana Dharma is never envious of any other traditions. But those other traditions which came up in the recent past, according to time, place, circumstances, which have a very exclusivist mindset, which have tried to destroy the Vedic culture. They try to destroy by destroying temples, Kashi, Mathura, Ayodhya, and thousands of others, by destroying libraries, universities, by destroying our Gurukul system, by creating caste divisions, by creating an impression that the Brahmanas are exploiters, by creating divide between lower caste, upper caste, by creating divides between North India and South India, in various ways, either by manipulating history, by manipulating educational system, by manipulating in various other ways. There was a concerted attempt to subjugate the Indian mindset as inferior. The Indian culture, Indian philosophy, Indian religion. Even though to some extent they were able to suppress, they were never able, because of the strength of the very nature of the Sanatan tradition. It can never be destroyed. May get subjugated for some time when evil forces become very powerful. It's just a matter of time. Things will come back. So we are now with this very important episode with the installation which is happening on Monday. While some will see it as just a temple with installation of a deity. Okay, it's important, but what's the big deal? But the big deal is that it is not just about the temple. The big deal is that it is not just a pran pratishtha. The big deal is it is the beginning of the resurgence of the Sanatan Dharma. You can be 100% sure of this. And you will see results in no time. You will see a very, 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 very different India in the years to come. And I'm not talking about 100 years, 200 years. See massive, massive changes within the next decade. So there are many, many things, and there are many reasons why I'm saying many of these things. And these are not just my saying, these are the sayings of many, many saints. So we are set for a very, very interesting time ahead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he disappeared, he said that spiritual teachings will spread all over the world, especially 500 years after his appearance. So we are in the 500 something years already of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Prabhupada has come and set the foundations for the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Quite a lot of background work has already been done. There are many, many interesting things happening all over the world connected with the spreading of Sanatan Dharma. One day we can discuss in more detail. I don't know what that day will be, but maybe when an opportunity arises. uh, but my request is, yeah, let us all celebrate this wonderful occasion in our hearts. Of course, our Prime Minister is so much instrumental in a lot of the things that are happening today. In fact, it's quite amazing that I heard how he is preparing himself for the installation ceremony. For 11 days, he has an anushthan of sleeping on the floor, 11 days of fasting, only coconut water for 11 days. I think for many of us, even to do one Ekadashi by just drinking coconut water is difficult. And 11 days coconut water and going about doing all the work and going around everywhere and doing everything, not just lying on the bed waiting for breakfast time next day. So clearly there are some very extraordinary people by the divine arrangement of the Lord and of Daiva are placed at significant positions today. So we should expect significant wonderful things to happen. So clearly there is a divine plan unfolding and many, many wonderful things will happen. Of course, there will always be the usual nuisance. Whenever the devatas celebrate, the demons will always try to spoil the fun by creating disturbance in the party. But that is also an eternal principle in the material world. Correct? When the sages, even during Ramchandra's time, when the sages would perform yajna, the demons would come and from the sky they will throw urine and stool and flesh on the yajna kunda to spoil it. That's why Vishwamitra gets Ram and Lakshman, right? To the forest. So there are some people who are trying to do that in various ways. They try to pretend to be saintly, giving wonderful reasons and shastric justifications. But ultimately, people can see that most of these things are just triggered by envy. So anyway, the dogs will bark, the caravan will move on. The force of destiny is such that it cannot be resisted anymore. So this will be a culmination event which will take us to a different era. So let us welcome Lord Ram to our hearts, and also, in our own way, in our own homes on 22nd, light some lamps, and to also observe like a mini Diwali in our homes for the return of Sri Ram. So do it yourself, encourage your relatives, friends also. Sometimes there is so much hoo-ha about installation ceremony and temple preparedness and this and that. Prabhupada was always very clear that the main ingredient of the installation of the deity is the genuine calling of the devotees for the Lord to appear. So if there is a collective eagerness, which I believe sincerely that there is, so many devotees have given up their lives who are not seeing this day. We are so fortunate that we are seeing this day. Maybe not, maybe not any of us may have got a personal invitation to go there, but at least in our society, Radhan Maharaj is there, Samrat Maharaj, Vihari Prabhu, and a few others. I don't know, there may be others also from ISKCON who have got invitation. I do not know all the names. Uh, but practically all traditions under the Hindu fold have been invited. All are equally happy and excited about the occasion and participating. I think I also mentioned that ISKCON has set up a camp there and will be feeding 10,000 pilgrims every day for a full month. So Gaurang Prabhu, along with a group of, I don't know how many, must be hundreds of volunteers, to cook for 10,000 people for 30 days. And they start from scratch, start from creating a kitchen and cooking. So it's pretty unimaginable for me. So wonderful things are happening, and this will create a very wonderful momentum, which will catapult our entire nation. So this is a civilizational uh, event where we will see a great rejuvenation and transformation in the mindset in within the, to put it in a very simple way, within the Hindu identity, which was suppressed for so long. So of course, for us as Krishna's devotees, what does it mean? Means that it will give us more facility to do Mahaprabhu's movement. Because the more fertile the ground is, the more easier for us to reach. There will always be more willing candidates to buy books, willing candidates to attend our classes, willing candidates. So much easier. So of course, not that necessarily each and every person will take to pure devotional service or Krishna consciousness. There will be a market for everything. And Sanatana Dharma allows for, Krishna himself allows in the Gita, choose between the paths of karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga, and various mixtures, or even demoniac materialistic life for that matter. But for us, we see that it will create a very receptive marketplace for souls to become more fortunate by being more receptive to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Because we know that we have the most potent process, the simplest and the most potent process, which is ultimately about developing love for the Lord, developing love for Ram, for Krishna, for his energies, for his servants, for his devotees, in a spirit of service to all mankind. So hopefully, we will see a increasingly receptive environment, not just in India, but all over the world. There are many interesting things happening all over the world also. which in due course will show what is happening. So many things I cannot say in an open recorded class, but a lot of interesting things. And for many of us, because not many of us are very old, we are still, most of us are in our 40s or 50s. Of course, some of us are still very young also. We are the children of the devotees, but we'll see significant in our lifetimes. Significantly. So we are fortunate to be born at a very critical juncture in the history uh, of this Kali Yuga. It's perhaps the most special in Kali Yuga. Perhaps after, if you exclude the period of the direct appearance of the Lord, 48 years, you leave that this part beginning with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, starting from there all the way, it's couple of 100 years, and especially so more now because we are reaching that, what is the right word? The critical mass. You understand? Physics students. We are reaching the critical mass after which there is no return. So that moment is almost there. After that, at a particular point, when the snowball rolls, it only gathers more snow and just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. There is no stopping it. So we are looking forward to interesting times. Of course, our service remains the same. Janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. Anybody who's born in India or connected to the Indian tradition, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to them is perfect your own life and make others fortunate by teaching them the same science. So even as I am sharing what I have learned from my spiritual masters and seniors, my appeal to all of you also is to continue that legacy by doing the same to the best of your capacity, whatever our capacity is. Maybe a small bulb, maybe a huge floodlight, still give light according to our own capacity. And Krishna appreciates all of it. Ram appreciates all of it. Whether it's a squirrel or it's a Hanuman. So let us do our part. So I like to conclude, and we offer respectful obeisances to Sri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. We also pray that the upcoming days, all the ceremonies and all the rituals and everything go on without any vigna, without any disturbance, and everything will work out wonderfully for the good of all mankind, or for that matter, for all living entities. Sarve sukhina santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhav. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, Prabhuji. I have three small questions and one which needs explanation.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Dhanavad, just please forgive my ignorance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the mode of separation from Lord Krishna or from Radharani. Both are same, even though.
He is Krishna in the mood of Radharani, who's feeling separation from Krishna. Because Krishna wants to experience how it is to be a devotee of Krishna.
Okay.
That's why he adopts the mood of the greatest devotee of Krishna, who's Radharani. So Krishna adopts the mood of Radharani to worship Krishna, to see how it feels like to love Krishna. Correct? Yeah, like that. Yes.
Prabhu, and six Goswamis, can you please name like Sanatana Rupa Goswami?
Rupa Sanatana, Shiva,
Uh, uh,
Gopala, Bhatta,
Okay.
Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami.
Yeah.
Vande Rupa Sanatano, Raghu Yugau. There are two Raghu, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, and uh, Vande Rupa Sanatano, Raghu Yugau, Sri Jiva Gopalakau, Jiva Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is the is from Sri Rangam, right? If you remember, we discussed about Mahaprabhu visiting the home of Venkata Bhatta, and Gopal Bhatta is his nephew, right? Yeah. So Vande Rupa Sanatana. So Rupa and Sanatan, Shiva is their nephew. So Rup Sanatan had another brother by the name of Anupam. Jiva Goswami was the son of Anupam.
Yeah.
So they are the uncles. Rup Sanatan are the uncles of Jiva Goswami.
Okay.
Raghunath Das was from a very, very rich family. There was Raghunath Bhatta. So these are the six.
Yeah, Prabhu. The third question, Prabhu. The Lord, right, for I mean, who are into Jnana yogis or who wants to enter into Brahma Jyoti, by Yoga Maya potency, he will cover, he will not reveal his original form, right, Prabhu? So that is called as Yoga Maya, but through which Maya process he reveals himself to a devotee. So, is there a term for that?
No, Yogamaya, Yogamaya is a very broad category. The impersonalists are not able to see the Lord because they are blinded by the Lord's effulgence. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam mukham tattvam pushan upavrunu satya dharmaya drishtaye. The Isha Upanishad has this verse. O Lord, your transcendental form is covered by your dazzling effulgence, because of which I am not able to see your face. So please remove your dazzling effulgence. Tattvam pushan upavrunu satya dharmaya drishte, so that I can actually see your real self, which is the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of God. So those become attracted by the all-pervading effulgence, and they do not go beyond it, not reach the form of the Lord.
So Prabhuji, the Yogamaya is still doing both the functions, covering the Lord's original
Where did
form.
you hear? Where did you hear that
No,
Yogmaya?
I did not hear, but through his Yogamaya potency, who is not true devotee, God will not expose to themselves.
So Yogmaya transforms herself into Mahamaya in this world. So Yogmaya is involved to manifest the Lord's spiritual pastimes. So there are
Okay.
two kinds of forgetfulness. There is material forgetfulness and spiritual forgetfulness. So material forgetfulness is what we are all suffering from because of false ego. That is Mahamaya. Yogamaya is that kind of Maya which may cause devotees to forget that this Krishna is the Supreme Lord. They will just think of him as, oh, he's my friend, he's my lover, he's my child. Yogmaya is that energy of the Lord which may sometimes cause the Lord to forget by his own will.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay, when the Lord is playing with his friends, for example, hide and seek, how will the Lord enjoy playing hide and seek? He's always all knowing. Sometimes the Lord, with his own Yogmaya, will cover his own knowledge just to have fun.
Yeah.
So the Lord employs his Yogmaya. So a very simple definition of between Mahamaya and Yogmaya is Mahamaya is that energy which takes us away from Krishna, and Yogmaya is that energy which brings us closer to Krishna. And in bringing closer to Krishna, the energy may sometimes cause us to become forgetful of certain things. But that forgetfulness doesn't take us away from the Lord, it takes us closer to the Lord.
Yeah, Prabhu. And the last question, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Some mantras, right, Prabhu, like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudaya.
Hmm.
So this mantra has to be given by Guru, Prabhu.
Yes, all mantras have to be received by Guru.
So
Other
one
than
doubt, Prabhu.
Nama.
Yeah,
Nama
because
can be
in
chanted by anybody. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra can be chanted by anybody. Nam doesn't require Diksha. Mantra requires Diksha. But when the Nama is received by person, from a person who is advanced in spiritual consciousness, then that naam becomes more effective for the sadhaka.
So, Prabhu, my doubt is in Bhagavatam we recite Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, right, Prabhu? Is that not a part of mantra, or how do you consider that, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's a mantra, but what I'm saying is, as a sadhana, to achieve the full power of the potency of the mantra, one cannot achieve the full potency via sadhana by, if one doesn't receive it from the Guru. Correct?
But
So many people may chant Gayatri mantra, for example, but if they have not received it from the Guru, it will give some benefit, but it will not reveal its potency. So all mantras will give some benefit. But what is ultimately the objective of the mantra? The mantra is not different from the deity. Siddhi of a mantra means realization of the deity the deity that represents the mantra. Correct?
can you repeat, Prabhu? I didn't get this
The,
point.
the perfection of a mantra is
Okay.
to realize the deity that is represented by the mantra.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the meaning of that? That means Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya must lead us to realization of Vasudeva. So that is the final fruit of the mantra. That final fruit cannot be achieved without receiving it. But is it that it is futile? Chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? No, of course, one will get some security, even get some material benefit. One will gradually get some credits, lead one to the point of receiving a guru. That is possible. But the mantra doesn't reveal itself because the mantra and the deity are not different. It will not reveal unless it is received from an authorized agent.
So, Prabhuji, so from scriptures is the way to identify what is real mantra and what is shloka. So, I'm just asking.
Yeah, mantras have a typical format, right? Like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shivaya. These are all mantras. Shlokas are, just two-line shlokas. The mantra usually will have beginning of Om, then it will have a deity, then it will have a verb, either Namaskar or something like that. So mantras have typically a particular format.
Okay, so from Bhagavatam we can read those shlokas, even it has that mantras, right?
Of course we can. See, it's not prohibited. All we are saying is, if you want to do sadhana of a mantra, you must receive it from the Guru.
Good.
You understood? Because when you do sadhana of a mantra, what is your objective? Your objective is to realize the potential of the mantra. And for us, what does realization of the potential of the mantra means? Realizing the deity which is representing the mantra. That you cannot attain without receiving it from Guru. But you can still benefit by that you cannot attain, but it doesn't mean it doesn't give you any benefit. You understand? Very simple. You don't take admission in school and become a proper bona fide student, you will not graduate and get a degree. But does it mean it is useless to simply go into a class and sit and listen to the teacher? It's not useless. You'll still learn something, right?
Right.
You understand? But you're not going to get a degree. I'm giving a very gross example. So you have to be in the system to receive the full blessings of the system. But by being connected in some way, get some benefit which will lead you eventually getting connected to the system in a formal way, where you will get initiation.
Yeah, Prabhu. So the last question, Prabhu, in this regard. So how is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra different from this? This is also mantra, right, Prabhu?
Even though we call it mantra, actually it is nama. It is a nama mantra. Because it is nama, the acharyas very specifically mentioned that even without diksha or purascharya, one can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And like what I mentioned earlier, when the Guru gives us the mantra and the instruction to chant the nama mantra, the Guru invests his potency by giving the nama to us. You understand?
Yeah.
So then it becomes more effective because we are empowered.
Good.
So when we chant initially, it will make us qualified to receive it from the Guru. Then we will become more qualified. Then the Guru will give us more mantras after we become qualified and reach second initiation. They will give us other mantras by meditating on which we can make further better advancement. That way we go on ahead.
Yeah.
So we have
It's
to
clear.
start somewhere. We start by chanting Nama. So for Nama, there is no entry barrier. Anybody in any situation, in any circumstance, can chant the holy name.
Yeah.
Most sinful person can. No qualification is needed for the Nama. But if we receive the Nama from a great soul, then it will become very potent. So many people sometimes have been chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in some form, somewhere. Not as a sadhana, but in some arti, some here, there. But as soon as they meet devotees and the devotees instruct them to chant, then their life starts transforming. Why? Because then the Nama becomes alive. Understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we receive the mercy of the Lord, especially in the form of His name, through the agency of His devotees who have been empowered by the Lord to give the name, then it is more effective and will bear faster results. But anybody can chant nonetheless.
Yeah. It's clear, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Santanam Prabhu, you have something?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I have two things. One is uh, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is a representative of Pragaspati. He is the Pragaspati
Is Brahaspati incarnate, correct?
incarnation. How they can also incarnate, like God can take the incarnation, but he is like because he has to leave that position there in Indraloka and he has to come over here, correct? Prabhuji? This is my understanding.
I think they are also capable to take a Amsha incarnation down.
Oh,
These very, very powerful personalities can also take an Ansha incarnation. Sometimes they leave their job and come. Like in Vidura's case, Yamaraj
yeah.
took leave and came. But there are possibilities where an Amsha of a Devata can also take an incarnation. So I'm not sure in this case what was the scenario. Unless it's mentioned, I cannot comment. But there are quite a few possibilities because the soul of a very advanced personalities. See, even when Krishna comes in this world along with his associates, does it mean the spiritual world is empty? Because the Lord is all the time in some planet manifested, right? So these things we cannot fully conceive and imagine. But we can safely say that the Lord can be himself fully in multiple places. He was already doing that even within the Ras Lila. It was with each of the millions of gopis. So it is also to be expected that the Lord's pure eternal associates can also manifest simultaneously in multiple places. How that works, we wouldn't know. But the pure soul has inconceivable potencies by the blessings of the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I have one more thing. We can also observe this fasting on uh, Ram Lalla installation ceremony.
Yeah, there is no restriction for fasting. We can, on any day, any occasion, if we want to observe for any cause, yeah, you are feeling inspired in that way to do any special prayers, yajna, dana, tapa, uh, then it's always wonderful. So, if your heart, inspires you, then yeah, by all means.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah. Anand Sundari Mataji has asked in the chat if Yamaraj is on leave, does his job then? Very worried what happens to his department. So yes, there was somebody who was filling in. I don't remember the pastime right now. If anybody remembers, they can share. Somebody temporarily took over Yamaraj's job. Who was it?
Aryama.
Aryama,
Aryama.
right? Yeah, I thought so it was Aryama from the Pitrilok. He was one of the chief of the Pitris. Aryama temporarily took over. Aryama is his deputy generally, I think. So he was temporarily made in charge. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, that's the answer. Okay, so tomorrow is Ekadashi. So please observe that, and also a wonderful appearance day for the deity in Ayodhya. Okay, thank you very much. चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री सीता राम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय, श्री अयोध्या धाम की
जय।
की जय. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu.